Yuri is finally a Gnosia! Before we get to today's video, I want to take a moment to talk about Patreon. That's right, we are on Patreon now, and we have a bunch of tiers with a bunch of great rewards. You can subscribe and get things like early access to all reactions, depending on your tier, depends on which reactions you get early access to. You can vote on polls exclusive to patrons that will help determine future reaction series and more. You will get to just have various choices in terms of like getting to choose future reactions I react to, getting to choose first impressions I check out, all kinds of different rewards, and possibly more coming in the future. We're still new at this. We're still figuring things out. It's a process. It's a process. But we have multiple tiers, so whatever you would be able to donate, if you're able and willing to donate, is appreciated. It helps me out, it helps the channel out, it helps us grow. It's going to help just, standardly. It's just something new to check out. Plus, if you like getting the reactions early, that's also a plus. But it is optional. If you're unable to do it, that's completely fine. All reactions will come to YouTube just a little bit later, a week later or so. So that all being said, thank you as always so much, and let's get on with today's video. And with that being said, hey everyone, welcome to Princess of Gay. I'm your host, Connie. I think I did that a little wrong. I'm your host, Connie, and welcome to my blind reaction to episode 9 of Gnosia. I'm going to tell you right off the bat, I am recording this right after episode 8. Like, right after. And the reason for that is because last episode got me so fucking hyped. Like, last episode, I would say, is probably my favorite of the season so far. It was that good. And if you didn't somehow watch it, I would definitely suggest going back and watching, because one, I'm going to be talking about spoilers. And two, just go watch it. Like, go now, please, watch it. You good? Okay. Last episode started off very interestingly because we started in the middle of a loop. Instead of like as we normally start at the beginning, we started a couple days already into the loop. And a couple of people had already been taken out. And so Yuri kind of caught us up with a little bit of a recap. We also have, I think, the biggest group. I think we had everyone, didn't we? We had the entire group, I think. Everyone was there. And so there were 4 Gnosia amongst everyone on board. And with, 2 or 3 people already under the cold sleep, it's hard to know who was if any of them were even Gnosia in the first place. The only assurance we had that there were 2 people who were not, because in this run, in this loop, those 2 people had never gotten off on the planet before. They had stayed on the ship and acted as guards. So because of that, they are confirmed to 100% not be Gnosia. But one thing that was very deceptive last episode is they kept saying they're confirmed to be human. Not true. Not true. And we know this because of Stella. Stella's not human. But we're acting like everybody who's not a Gnosia automatically is human, which just for multiple reasons isn't true. One, human, doesn't that kind of imply being from Earth? And we know a good amount of these characters are not from Earth. But also, even outside of that, just because they're not Gnosia doesn't mean they're human. It just doesn't mean that. Again, Stella is just the example of evidence for that. So, it's very interesting that they kept misleading us like that. And that actually came into big effect. So we got to learn a lot more about a lot of the characters throughout the episode, such as Remnin and Sha Ming to a point. And I kind of like started to like certain characters a little more. Sha Ming ending up being kind of this pathetic loser kind of worked for me. I don't know. He kind of like was so pathetic and stupid. It was kind of funny and enjoyable to watch. And so I kind of like him a lot more now. Remnen got a lot more development throughout the episode. We learned a lot more about him. But I think the most notable thing was the ending. Because the ending credits start to play and then break. They start to glitch out and break. Yuri is woken from the cold sleep because everybody was put in the cold sleep except for the two who were the guards because they were supposed to be safe. It was this kind of little thing they decided to do, partially as making up for the fact that they chose not to put someone in cold sleep the night before because Shaming basically begged them not to. And so Yuri is woken up by Remnen and basically told, oh, by the way, everybody's fucking being killed. Yuri's like waking up and like, what the fuck? You see like the corpses of them hanging out bloody and everything from their pods. And suddenly Kakrushka comes in wielding a pipe and looking crazy as fuck and starts trying to kill them and does kill Setsu in their pod. Jesus fuck. But then starts chasing them through the ship like fucking Xenomorph from Alien. We see Gina be like forced out of an airlock before she can get her helmet on and murdered by Kakrushka. We see corpses of people all over the place, including I think we saw one or two others out in space already. But we eventually find out that Remnen used to be a slave to a horrifically evil woman and was treated kind of like a dog almost. And he says that Kakrushka reminds him of his former slave owner, and she like has like similar mannerisms or the way she looks at him and stuff. And when they're about to escape from or when they're about to like get out of there with an escape pod, Kakrushka manages to stop them and kills them both. Jesus fucking Christ. Where the hell did this energy come from? And I said it last time in the afterthoughts. I am all good with it. Like, I am very much, like, happy with this turn of events because I love horror. And this kind of shit is absolutely my kind of thing. And so this very sudden turn into, like, very intense horror was absolutely something I love to see. But on top of that, after waking up again in the next loop, we find out Yuri's a Gnosia. This has been something I have actively been waiting for, because, like, logically speaking, yeah, Yuri has to be able to be a Gnosia as well. I don't know how that's played off in the game, but I assume in the game, Yuri, your player, can become a Gnosia. Which would be pretty fascinating, pretty interesting how to play that in the game. And I'm very interested to see how Yuri plays that within this. Because Yuri's gonna have that kind of urge to kill, and I'm actually interested if we're gonna see Yuri killing anyone overnight. That's gonna be fascinating. But we also know that Gnosia can actually be genuinely kind and nice because they do retain a lot of the memories and personality traits of their hosts. So I'm very interested to see how this, like, affects things, and if we're actually gonna see Yuri like succeed at being a Gnosia, or if they're gonna get caught. That's also fascinating. And the last thing I'll mention before we get this going as well is last episode in the afterthoughts, I also did a tier list for my current thoughts on the characters and how I would rank them currently. And it's just currently. I acknowledge these rankings could absolutely change and most likely will by the end of the series. But just as a reminder, my favorite character is currently Comet. Just everything about her personality, character design, and yes, to a degree, even the titties, absolutely like works for me. My least favorite character right now is Rockio because honestly, they're just kind of shitty. I just do not like them. But if you want to see the full tier list, I would just, and you didn't somehow see that in the last video's afterthoughts, just go back to the afterthoughts. I think I'm probably going to end up having it here on YouTube at least. I'm probably going to like list that as a chapter. I'm going to have a timestamp in the video's progress bar for that. I mean, it would make sense, right? Obviously, I'm recording this ahead of time, and it's not even going to be going up on Patreon right away, so I'm getting ahead of myself, but you know. But I'm very excited to see how this loop of Yuri as a Gnosia goes. I'm very interested to see what they do, how they react to being a Gnosia, and just if they succeed or not. So let's get into this. But before we do, one last thing, I promise. Just as a reminder, we do have a Patreon. We started at the beginning of the year, and you can get early access to all reactions, including this, including more Gnosia and other shows on the Patreon, just by joining. So if you go down into the description below, there will be a link to the page, and you'll get detailed information on all of the different tiers and what they give. What kind of rewards you get. You get early access to all the different reactions. Your tier does determine which types of reactions you get early access to. Again, specific details are on the Patreon page itself. You can read all about it there, but you can also get like access to exclusive polls in the future. You get to choose for things for me to react to in the future, and so on and so forth. If you have any questions, you can ask me in this comment section or any other. I am always reading comments, so I'll always be able to answer your questions if need be. And it's completely optional. You don't have to do it. It does help me out. This, like, between this and the gaming channel, this is full time for me. But if you're unable to due to money or any other reason, or just don't want to, that's also perfectly fine. Like I said, it's optional. I'm not going to force you. I can't force you, and I wouldn't want to force you. So just, if you can, if you're able, cool. If not, also cool. All reactions will come to YouTube eventually, no matter what. But that being said, let's get to this and see what this episode has in store for us. Hold up just a sec. Before you click that link down in the description below to get to today's video, I want to remind you of all the awesome content we have both on this channel and the Princess of Gaming channel. Let's check it out. Welcome to the Afterthoughts. We'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So, I'm just going to say this right off the bat before we get to anything else. I have made a decision. And this episode actually kind of confirmed that for me. I think we're going to take a break right here. I know that might sound like very sudden and everything, but I think if we're going to take a break, this is the right time to do so. We just had Yuri be a Gnosia for the first time. And succeeded as a Gnosia alongside Comet. Comet admits that she loves them. And we don't know if that's going to carry on to other timelines, to other loops. But at least for this loop, Comet fell in love with Yuri. But I'm assuming that even despite the fact that they won, despite the fact of all of that, they're still going to loop no matter what. It's not going to just be until they die. Because I think, didn't that happen before now that I'm thinking about it? Didn't, like, they win against the Gnosia before and, like, Yuri still ended up looping no matter what? I think no matter what, after everything is done, no matter who wins, they still loop. I think it's not a case of like, oh, you'll just keep going on forever until you die or something. That's what I was saying, I think, during the reaction, and I was wrong. I believe we've seen this before. And I think Yuri, well, obviously Yuri would know this. And so when Yuri promised Comet they'd go explore together, it wasn't exactly a lie. It was more of like just not revealing information, because, of course. But they were trying to obviously make Comet feel better, which is probably what also helped Comet realize that she loves them. And so I'm very curious to see if this does go anywhere. Because honestly, I would be completely okay with that if it did. If like a romance did actually end up happening. But I would also be okay if it didn't. Because in something like this where it keeps looping over and over, it would be hard to make that work. Also, just because Comet loves Yuri doesn't mean Yuri reciprocates that. So yeah, it's one of those things that's just it's hard to say if this would include anything like actually like going into anything here. But I would support it if it did. They would just have to make sure to do it right. Like what if like Comet like for some reason had like these vibes, these feelings for Yuri no matter what, and it's just like it's something she couldn't explain, but she just knew she loved him, and it just like somehow carried over. I don't know how that would work, but I don't know. I feel like there's ways they could explain that. But we'll have to see. But this was a very fascinating one. First of all, we saw how the Gnosia kill. And they basically just dissolve a human, quote unquote, a non-Gnosia's body. They basically erase their existence. And it's just a kill. They're not feeding on them or anything like that. It's actually really fascinating, and it's actually they bring up this interesting thought, specifically Sha Ming, on whether or not it's more, ethical to kill them like this when they're not aware of it, or to kill like the survivors at the end after like they've cut it down enough. Like, what would be more ethical at that point? When they're aware that they're being killed or not? And that's a valid question. I love how getting to see the how the Gnosia work through Yuri here. We get to have these kinds of ethical questions because a series like this should tackle this kind of stuff. But I also love how we continue to see that Gnosia are not all bad. It makes a very big point that the Gnosia still have their desires. They still have their memories. They're infected by a parasite, basically. So it's like everything that they were before still exists within them. It's just their bodies are kind of being puppeted by this urge. This urge to lie and kill and come out on top. And so it's actually really interesting because we see Comet almost doesn't want to do this. And Yuri almost doesn't want to do this. They go along with it because it's what they're supposed to do. And Yuri goes along with it specifically because they were also told by Setsu to just take on whatever the role may be. But we see that, like, neither Yuri or Comet really want to be doing this. They're just doing it to survive. Comet's actual goal is to go out and see space and stuff because of her horrifyingly sad backstory. And this episode like went further into that backstory. We got to actually see more of it. And yeah, it definitely is really fucking sad. But also like worked to endear me to Comet even more. So I think Comet's just probably gonna remain my favorite character. I honestly don't see that changing. But I could be surprised. I could absolutely be surprised, and I'd be welcome to it. And Sha Ming in this loop was acting like the cool, calm Chinibyo form. He was like trying the mask he wore and all. But he did try the begging thing, did not work. um, but yeah, it's like it was still a really interesting view into things. And I'm actually surprised that they did win, that Yuri's first time as a Gnosia was successful. Because I was questioning it, but I was genuinely thinking that it was probably going to be a failure. So I am surprised. But yeah, I found this to just be a very, very fascinating loop. But because of how much this like allowed us to see into the minds of the Gnosia, how much this allowed us to understand more about everything happening, I feel like this is a really good episode to leave off on for now. Like I had said, I had been thinking about taking a break from this series, mainly because, like, when I'm watching a show that's, like, more than 12, 13 episodes, a lot of the times, unless it's something that I'm, like, super, super, super invested in, I can tend to get burnt out. Through one reason or another, I can end up feeling like I'm getting burnt out, and a lot of the time I can start to resent the show or start losing interest in it, and I don't want that to happen, especially with the shows that I'm really enjoying. And Gnosia is a show that I am really enjoying. And so I don't want this to be something that I end up kind of starting to lose interest in. I want this to be something that I'm constantly hyped for and excited for. And while I definitely probably could continue along right now as is, I also feel like I also feel like I want to take this break before even the possibility happens of becoming a little burnt out on this. And so to make this clear, we're obviously not um like dropping this or anything. When I'm saying we're putting on a break, I mean just a temporary break. We will be coming back to this. And I hope to not make it take too long. My goal is for it to not be too long. Knowing me, sometimes I don't stick to that goal. But I'm going to hope to not let it take so long. So, we're going to take a break from this for now. Come back to it in the future. And we'll be refreshed and ready to go for, I guess, what basically is going to amount as the second half. Because now that we've gotten all this big stuff, we've got introduced to all the characters, we've gotten to like have that big horror reveal, and then of course getting to see from the angle of a Gnosia. Again, this just feels like the right time to take a break. So that's what we're gonna do. Now, the question comes into play, okay, so if I'm going to take a break from this, what's going to be the next Friday show? And that's actually something that I had not thought about yet. So if I look on my doc here, I have a document with everything. This is going up on Friday the 20th. This should be going up on Friday the 20th on Patreon. Which means that it'll be going up the 27th. Or there is no 20. No, yeah, there is no 27th. Oh, no. Yes, there is. There's 28 days in February. I'm so confused. I'm sorry. Yeah, because... Male person. Sorry. Yeah, it'll go up on the 27th on YouTube. Meaning that March 6th will be the first week out. That is actually important. So, she'll shut up in a second. If March 6th is the first day that we need, that our next show is going to be on, I'm trying to think about this. I'm saying this is important because there's some shows coming up that are going to be important for figuring out the timeline of here. I just need to find them real quick. I think it's kind of more towards the middle of March that these shows are. Oh, wait, no. Hold on. Yeah. I think the first one would be on the 10th. So this, timing-wise, wouldn't entirely work. So I think that's going to have to be for a different slot. But... we've been doing a lot of anime lately, so I'm thinking maybe going to a cartoon series. Or maybe a lot... No, cartoon series. We're going to have live series probably only one at a time. So if I'm looking at everything I've got here, we have a lot of stuff that we haven't, gotten back to. There's a lot of stuff that we have to check out again. That we either started to check out or gave, a shot to. And there's probably stuff that I could, think of that I would just like to do. But, So, I think... I don't want anything too long. Because we might come back to Gnosia, right after it, depending on length and everything, and other slots opening up. Let me check something here. I want to check the runtime for a certain show. Or, not the runtime, but the amount of episodes, I guess is more accurate. Because that'll help me determine here. Okay. So not that. Definitely not that. And mind you, we can also, take a break from something else if we needed to. But, I would rather, keep this as solid as I can. I know that's the wrong word, but as simple as I can. No, that's too many episodes, too. I want something with a shorter amount. Ooh, actually, this could work. This is something I haven't, I wasn't considering. Yeah, that could work. That could work. Okay. So, this is going to be quite a surprise. This is going to be something a lot of you probably wouldn't be expecting. But I think that this would be a really fun idea. Give me just a second to check one last thing. Just to be sure and safe on this. Because, that's kind of important. Okay. We should be good then. Oh, one last. Okay. So the series we're gonna replace Gnosia with for now, and again, we'll come back to Gnosia in the future, either when another slot opens up that I'm ready for bringing this into at that point, or when this slot opens back up after we check out this other show. Um, the series we're going to replace Gnosia with for now is going to be season 2 of Disenchantment. And this might be a big surprise for you. I'll talk more about it when we get to that first episode. But I have not I reacted to season 1 back in 2018. It has been 8 years. This November, it'll be 8 years. So more like, I guess, 7.5. 7.5 years since I reacted to season 1. And that might scare you. Do not worry, it will not be that long for Gnosia. The reason why is because I kind of just ended up like, I think I casually kind of dropped it. I finished season 1 and I just never continued for one reason or another. I think I casually kind of dropped it because I just either lost interest or I don't remember exactly. It's been a long time. But I had been deciding for a while now that I wanted to get back to it. I wanted to continue to give it a go. I will refresh myself on what happened in season 1. Though I remember enough to where I think I could follow along to season 2. But again, I'll talk more about this when we get to the first episode of season 2. Now, the last thing I'll mention, though, is that season 2 of Disenchantment is split into 2 parts. So it actually, it had 2 separate releases. And because of that, we'll be able to watch part 1 of season 2 and then take another break and probably come back to Gnosia at that point. And then we'll do part 2 of season 2 at some other point. Because it's 10 episodes for each part. And that works out timely really well. I didn't want to do something that was closer to like 20 episodes altogether. But since this is split into parts, it makes it easier. But yeah. So I apologize for everyone who's really into the Gnosia reactions. Again, they will return. And pretty quickly. As soon as I can get back into them. But there are going to be other things that are going to be taking slots lately as well. So it might just have to wait until the Friday slot opens back up. Because there's 2 shows coming out in March that are going to be like big ones for me. That are going to take up slots just by priority. With One Piece live action season 2 and JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Steel Ball Run. Both of those are priority shows for me. Which means I will put other shows on hold just to get those on the schedule. And then in April, I think there's a couple things coming in April for the spring anime season. But one thing I know for sure that I want to react to is season 2 of Dorohedoro. So I'm excited for that one too. But that one I might be able to wait a little bit on because I might want to wait for the dub anyway. Because I watched season 1 with the dub mostly. But we'll see. I'll kind of determine that one later because that comes out later. But those other 2 are going to take up slots. So this is how we're going to do it with coming back to Gnosia. It'll probably be in this slot. It'll probably be on Fridays still. Right after we do part 1 of season 2 of Disenchantment. So for those who hadn't seen those all those years ago or may not have like been on the channel all those years ago, my Disenchantment reactions are still up. There should be 2 links in each video. One for BitChute that will not work anymore. Don't use the BitChute link. Use the Google Photos link. Because my BitChute account was like locked. And you can't access anything on it because of, people reporting me because of the far right chuds that were on BitChute that were bitching about me being, queer. So use the Google Photos links for disenchantment, and you should be good. But yeah, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this reaction and the reactions to all of this first half of Gnosia. And we'll be back with the second half, again, more than likely right after the first part of Disenchantment Season 2. For now, though, thank you so much for tuning in. And I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.